the title Podcast 108, Measurements, Accuracy and Precision. And after you've listened to this podcast, it will be precision because you'll be a pro. Do you like that?
Mm-hmm. That's if they haven't fell asleep. But anyway, Podcast 108, Measurements, Accuracy and Precision. I reckon we should have called it the 7 Ps.
What are the 7 Ps? Well, I'm trying to figure this technology crud out. You tell people what the 7 Ps are.
The 7 Ps are obviously the 7 Ps, aren't they? Everyone knows what the 7 Ps are, don't they? Proper planning and preparation prevents piss poor performance. Standard. You know, that's what we should have called it. Not this measurements.
But proper preparation prevents piss poor performance.
No, that's
6 Ps.
No, that's not right. Proper planning and preparation prevents piss poor performance. And I reckon it's the fundamental to all growing, personally. But we'll go along with this measurements and accuracy and precision stuff for now and see how we get on.
What's going on, homies? You're listening to NPK Live, the Hydroponics podcast. You're listening to NPK Live. To all the listeners around the world, you're listening to NPK Live.
So, podcast 108, Measurements, Accuracy and Precision. So, the idea for today's podcast is all about taking your time. And as Thomas says, doing a little bit of planning, doing a little bit of preparation, going to prevent piss poor performance. And as an introduction, I'd like to make you think. So, when you get sick, Thomas, what do you do?
Cry.
I've never seen you cry.
Cuddle up into a big quilt. Mm-hmm. Get the Beechams out.
The Beechams. Okay, so there we go. There's Beechams. Beechams is medicine. How much Beechams do you take when you're sick?
Well, take the tablet ones, and then take the ones that you can drink as well, like Lemsip thing ones.
Why is that? Because you're a proper tart.
No, because obviously that flu, it's heavy, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The man flu is hard work, and it gets you.
It's a serious case as well. So when you've got the man flu and you're taking, let's say you take your tablets. How many tablets do you take?
Don't know, loads of them.
How many's loads?
Probably about 4 straight away.
How many should you take?
I don't know. Probably about 3 a day. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the night or something.
Okay. So why don't you take half a tablet?
What do you mean?
Why don't you take just half a tablet?
That's not going to work, is it?
Okay. Why don't you take, if half a tablet doesn't work as well, surely taking 5 tablets must work.
More.
5 times is better.
More, yeah. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work more, don't I?
So why not take 5 tablets?
Because it took 4.
So why not take 5 and make it go even quicker?
Because then it might have a bad something.
Okay, so if you use too little, it's not going to have the proper effect.
No.
If you use too much, it's going to make you either more sick or
I might not wake up.
It's a serious side effect, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be like, do you know what I mean?
Side effects including.
I've never experienced that one before, though.
Let's hope you don't either. Yeah. So the point is, you take your medicine in the right measurements, don't you? For it to work properly.
I should do, but I don't normally take
Not always.
them. But I don't stray too far away from the guidelines. Like,
do you do any cooking? Do you like to cook, Thomas?
No, it's not one of my fortes. The art cooking.
I also hate cooking, but we're going to rely on some common knowledge here.
Okay.
Have you ever cooked?
You're going to struggle with this bit then, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit. Can we get some outside help in anyway? Is there anyone out there that's cooked before? Have you ever made a meal?
Yeah, of course I have.
Yeah.
Been on Bear Grylls, haven't I?
Yeah. And if you've made a meal and you've had to put ingredients into the dish, how do you put the ingredients in?
You measure them.
You measure them. You just got straight to the point there, didn't you? There's no messing about there. What happens if you don't measure them?
You'd end up with what I've cooked yet. A mess.
Actually, you know what?
Which is true, that's why I don't cook, because I don't enjoy it, but I tend to get things wrong with the cooking.
I tried cooking once. The food actually turned out really, really nice. It was a pork tenderloin. And as I was stuffing it, had to give it a little bit of anal penetration with the elf finger.
Ooh.
Get the stuffing right in there.
Ooh, that's a bit... I don't want to come round to yours when you're doing the Sunday dinner, mate. Let me tell you.
That's what it said in Jamie's food recipe.
I don't think it said that in Jamie's food recipe book, let me tell you.
Anyway, the pork got stuffed.
Okay.
And it went really nice. It was a lovely dish. And then I decided to make some tiramisu. To make tiramisu, you've got to have chocolate, spreadable cheese, and brandy, and some sponge fingers, something like that. Anyway, I put too much coffee in, so it was too bitter. So I thought I'd add more brandy, and then I got too alcoholic. So I had to add a bit more coffee and then a bit more brandy. Anyway, I thought, fuck it, put them in the fridge, let them settle. My mum and the missus tested them, and they spat them all out over the room. They said it was the most vile thing they'd ever tasted in life.
And why was that?
Alcoholic coffee. Probably because I thought I could make tiramisu, and I couldn't. I didn't have any instructions. I've used far too much brandy, probably not enough cheese, and it ended up disastrous. Okay. So the point was, you need to follow the recipes because it's important, and you need to measure out the correct dosage of brandy and butter and all that.
But
shit
what's this got to do with
tiramisu.
plants, though?
So I've got a few more to make the point.
It's going to be a long podcast, this one.
Listen, you asked for it. You asked for it.
I asked for the podcast, not a cooking lesson.
Well, you need a cooking lesson.
On bad tiramisu. How not to cook. Let's teach everybody how not to cook tiramisu.
Yeah, so we've run out of stuff to talk about on this Hydroponics podcast. We've now turned into a cookery channel.
A bad one.
I just want to surprise you all. Let's hope we keep our subscribers. Okay, so let's skip. Would you guess how much medicine you're taking to get better? No. Do you guess how long it takes to reach a destination? No. And do you hope when you're making baby food, do we guess how much powder we're putting in? No, because we need to follow measurements. And if you don't follow measurements, we get shit wrong. So why on earth do people not make measurements when they are in their grow room?
Laziness springs to mind.
Laziness.
But not only that. Some people don't understand what they're actually measuring and the different variables of type of measurements, what they would require in their grow life.
Yeah. Basically. I was also struggling to think of a second word there.
Yeah, I was.
So, the basic measurements are weight, area, volume, length, temperature, and time. Measured time as well. Destination A to B. And we need to become more mindful of our measurements and, more importantly, making accurate measurements. So there's no point measuring out. Let's go with base nutrients. So our plants are very young in the seedling stage, and we take a measurement. We use 50 ml of A and 50 ml of B cocoa feed, and we add it to our litre of water.
But they're not the only measurement.
Is that a good measurement?
No, because it's not the only form of measurement that you can take from a base nutrients, is it?
You're going to skip right ahead to the advanced measurements.
Yes, because I'm just going to get right in there.
Don't go to advanced measurements later on.
You're already on advanced stuff here, and there's the phone ringing.
But we have members of staff to deal with this today.
So
it's all
we
about
also have
measurements.
EC.
Yes, we do.
Which I believe is the actual correct way to measure. We're measuring millimetres. 10 mil of this and 10 mil of that doesn't actually give you the. Did
you say? It sounded like you said I'm measuring millimetres then.
Yeah, millilitres.
Millimetres.
I think I did say millimetres.
Millilitres. But it's all about accurate measurements. And what this will, if you're thinking, oh well, fucking hell, I've just been throwing in a dollop of A and a dollop of B into 10 litres, throwing a little splash of PK in week 5, and that's me done. I get pretty good results. You could definitely get better results if you'd use proper measurements. Agree or disagree?
I don't know though, so why? What difference does it make?
Well, I got you before, see, I knew you'd be like this, hey, arsehole. And I knew that you'd try and bugger me up, so I've got you right from the off. You follow measurements when you're taking medicine, and you follow measurements when you're taking
but you also got onto that. I tend to stray away from the thing and judge it as well, don't I? I think I need a bit more here now. And it doesn't say that on the packet, does it?
I've also noticed that when you are sick, you are really, really sick. Yeah. You take man flu to the next level.
I've had the most worst severe case of man flu.
Flow.
Man flu. man flu ever recorded in the UK, I think.
Wasn't that in the Guinness Book of Records 3 years ago?
I think it was. If you look it up, it says meat.
So anyway, you're a bad example, but you do follow recipes. And when you're getting from A to B...
it's a known fact that all men who suffer severe flu, that's why it's called man flu.
Yeah. And we should take proper measurements of medicine to get better, quicker. Yeah. But you don't, and you end up taking a few days extra off.
Ooh.
So I want to also mention the difference between accuracy and precision, because they're two completely different things. And it is no point being accurate if you're not precise. No point being precise if you're not accurate. So precision is hitting... Let's go on a dartboard. If you play darts, don't you?
Oh, we're playing
I've heard
darts.
you shit.
We're playing darts now.
So we're playing darts.
180!
This is a darts podcast. We're skipping all over the place. Precision is hitting the number one on a darts board 19 times out of 20. Do that 19 times for me. Stop. That's good. And accuracy is... Do you mind? Accuracy is hitting the bullseye when it's required. Accurate precision is hitting the bullseye multiple times when required. That makes sense.
I just thought they were both the same thing.
No. So, do you want me to explain again?
No, that's fine.
In terms of growing.
No,
let's make it interesting.
No, it's all right.
Let's make it interesting.
No, go on. I get it.
No. You need more education. So, precision is measuring out exactly 5 mil of A and 5 mil of B.
Okay.
And accuracy is doing it the same amount of times, all the time, week in, week out. If that's the number that you require, week in and week out. Okay. So
that makes a bit more sense.
You couldn't be making measurements.
So the thing, what you're trying to say is, when you're measuring everything, you've got to be accurate, and you've got to be precise.
You got precisely accurate.
Precisely.
You need to be precise and accurate.
Yeah, but then the accurate comes over the period of time, is what you were saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Happy?
Oh, yeah.
And another fun fact, super fun fact, you're going to be thrilled. You want to stop the end of the podcast right now. Metrology is the science of measurements. How much of an interesting fact was that?
So metrology. I thought that was like meteors.
No, that's meteorology.
Same sort of thing.
And then you've got butchers who study metology.
Really?
Yeah, metrology, metology, and meteorology. Try saying them 3 times dead fast.
Anyway.
I also found a joke. It's not my joke. To do with measurements.
Go on, then.
How much does 2,000 pounds of noodle soup weigh?
I don't know.
1 ton.
I'm not even laughing at that.
That's about a joke. 2,000 pounds of noodle soup, 1 ton. Oh, I liked it anyway. Also, look, before we get into it. Look.
Get me out this booth. No.
Listen, I told you, I'm going to ruin you. The beard second. There's actually a measurement called the beard second. And the beard second is the length. On average, a beard grows in 1 second. And it's about a nanometer. The beard inch is 29.4 days.
Anyway, back to the podcast and to do with plants.
You wanted lots of interesting information? I've got my papers the wrong way around. There's a piece of paper missing.
Oh, thank God for that.
No, it's just on the back and printed double-sided. Yes. I actually thought I'd lost my piece of paper there. So, measurements in the grow room. First measurement that I want you all to start making is the size of your grow space. So how many people walk into the shop and say, how many lights should they use? So I'm a customer walking in the shop. Hey mate, how many lights do I need? I want to buy some lights.
I want to buy a tent. What's that saying?
I was asking you the question.
Oh, you're asking me?
How many lights should I have? Got a grow room.
How big's your space?
It's about as big as that space behind the counter.
Oh, it was very precise, this one, isn't he? It's very accurate. His measurements are spot on here, aren't they? But how are we going to determine anything from that?
You can't.
There you
go. So, first call protocol is get yourself a tape measure. I'm sick and tired of people walking in, I'm sure other shop owners are, and the person doesn't know how big their grow space is. How on earth are you supposed to know how many lights to use if you don't know the size of your grow space?
If you can't afford the tape measure, they've got them free in IKEA.
I used to stuff loads in my pockets, you know, for the shop.
I know.
And then sellotape them together.
We used to give
instant
them all
tape
to
measure.
everyone. Yeah, I think great.
Another question that they come in: how many plants should they grow?
We're at the bollocks here, mate. What do you want me to do?
My space, I measured my space. It's about
It's
3 foot by 2.2 meters. People using those types of measurements in one sentence as well is very annoying.
Yeah,
mixing up your measurements. Not being able to tell your grow shop the size of your room is a massive flaw. So before you even step foot in a grow shop anywhere in the world, measure the size of the grow space that you've got, even if it's to know how much black and white sheeting to put up, or how many tents you could fit in the room, or how many plants. It all stems from how big your grow space is.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, you won't be able to tell guys how many lights you need, how many plants you'll be able to grow. So that is number one, measurement. Get the size of your grow room right. Because you know what happens? People walk into the grow shop, purchase a tent, and then find out after setting up half the tent that the room's too small.
Yeah.
How about that one? Can I bring my tent back, mate?
They find out that they're trying to put a 3 metre squared tent up in a 2 metre squared room.
Yeah.
It becomes a bit difficult.
Listen, you're a very good grower if you crack that one.
Yeah, if anybody's ever managed to put one of them up successfully, please send me the video and I will give you £10,000.
Next measurement, measure your room height. Yeah, not good enough just to measure the length and the width.
No.
Measure the height, because it's not going to be the best idea to find out that your room is 3 metres by 3 metres, and then you think, okay, great, I'm going to go and purchase 5 1,000 watt lights. Because then you get back to the house and the ceiling is not tall enough for the spread of 1,000 watt light. Your light's going to be too close to your plants, so you're going to burn the top of your plants. So you've got to measure the height of your room as well. And if you are looking on using 1,000 watt double-ended fixtures, we would recommend no lower than 2.2 metres for the height of your room. Anything around 2 metres, perfect. You can throw your 600s, your 400s, your 250s in all day. But if you're in there, you need to have at least 2.2 metres for those double-ended 1,000s. The room size. So room size, room height, most important.
Yeah.
Before you even start taking any
Basic
other measurements.
Basic measurements.
So how many lights are you going to use in your grow space? Now, you bought yourself a tape measure. You know the size of your space. And depending on the room size, you'll know how many lights per square metre you should be using. And very roughly, if you don't know, it's 1 metre squared for a 600 watt light and 1.2 metre squared for a 1,000 watt fixture. And therefore...
But always remember, with a 1,000 watt fixture, you need to be at least 2 metres away from your height of your plant.
At the very, very...
least.
Yeah, well, your room needs to be at least at even 2.2 metres.
Yeah, which is some distance.
And you've got to if you're in a tent, you have to buy a special tent that are 2.2 metres tall, and that'll help you a lot. So you know your space, and you can now buy your lights, and they've got the correct amount of light for the room. You'll also know, bonus, you know your room size, you know how many lights you're going to use. What does that mean you can do? Accurately go and buy yourself the correct timer.
So hold on, 1,000 watt bulb, it needs to be 2 metres away from that.
No, so to clarify, 1,000 watt double-ended bulb or 1,000 watt single-ended bulb needs to be about 80 centimetres to a metre away from your plant. But in order for your plants to grow and have the space and what have you, you need that 2.2 metres at least. Because here's another point to make, a little off track from measurements, is that people in the UK who don't tend to have these high ceilings look at what the guys in the US, the guys and gals in the US are doing. Now, you guys have big ceilings, and if you don't, you've got big warehouses where you can get the big ceilings, or you've got greenhouses, and you put hundreds and hundreds of these double-ended 1,000 watters in. So we look and we go, they look brilliant. Everyone's saying that they're the best in the US, So I'll use 3 of them in me 2.4 by 1.2 metre tent. That's only 2 metres tall. You can have problems, and just because one group of growers say that it's the best light to use, it may not be right for your specifics.
No.
And that's why measurements and accuracy and
key.
precision is key. So you know your room size, you know the amount of light you need, and you know your size of the contactor that you need. So now that you know all of that stuff, you can then next hopscotch onto your fan and filter you're going to use. So how many people walk in the shop?
8-inch fan.
How many people walk in the shop and say, oh, I need a 10-inch fan and filter? And even that's not the worst part. They're not even talking about flow rate. But you say to them, okay, mate, how many lights have you got? Oh, I'm not sure yet. What? Why are you picking your fan and filter before you've even decided how many lights you're going to have? I mean, if you have one light, use a 6-inch at least. But people come in and think that they're going to choose the fan and filter as the first thing that they're going to measure and try to get right, but it's the wrong order. So after, you need to figure out room size, room height, how many lights you're going to use in that space, because now you know your space. So then you go on to see the size of the fan and filter. I think we've said that enough times. If I find anybody saying 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, 10, 12-inch fan and filter, I'm going to find you, and Thomas is going to kill you.
I just walk away. I just give up sometimes. I really do.
I wondered what you were doing. You were saving someone, and then all of a sudden, just take over that. Just take over that. I'm going for a cup of tea.
It doesn't bother me if you when we point it out to you, but then when you get dismissed and just like, oh, I know, that was the one I used last time. But obviously we talk about climate and variables and change of climate, and that last time was probably the winter, now you're in the summer or whatever, so your measurements need to be changed as well. They need to be continuously accurate and precise, because throughout variable seasons and changes and sizes and all different aspects of it, all of these measurements and everything about it all change.
Eric said that lights don't throw a square pattern, it is more rectangular. A 1000 watt double-ended can do 4 feet by 6 feet. Well, first of all, Eric, I haven't got a clue what. I don't work out stuff.
Big shout out to Eric and Garden Culture.
You need to do a
conversion. I'm just going to interrupt your podcast. I was falling asleep a minute ago, but I'm just going to talk about Eric. He was on the old FaceTime to us the other day, wasn't he?
He was.
And the reason why I'm going to mention it is because we were talking about the weather last week, weren't we?
We were.
And I thought, I thought it was sunny in Canada, in Canada, didn't I?
Yeah.
And Eric, our pal, Garden Culture, FaceTimed us the other day, and wow, the snow. How deep was that snow? It was like a couple of feet deep at least. It was just crazy. So, yeah,
he was like, you did the podcast and they said the summer was coming, and it definitely hasn't come yet.
No. So,
but Eric brings up a good point. They don't actually throw out a square pattern, but to make it easier for people, not a lot of people can visualise a 6 foot by 4 foot space. And if they come in and say the room is, excuse me, it's that mango Rubicon sits on the chest. If you're 3 metre by 2 metre room, it's a little bit harder to work out how many lights you'd need in a 6x3 than just going very quickly off the top of your head. How many square metres have I got to cover? Do you agree?
That's where your measurements and your accuracy and your precision comes into place then.
So you're still taking measurements, but you're not being very accurate, are you?
No.
So if you want to turn up your accuracy, then you're going to do what Eric recommends and actually go and see. We talk a little bit about this further on in the podcast when you start taking light level measurements using a par meter. And you'll very quickly find out.
But obviously everybody hasn't got a bloody par meter, have they?
I know. I'd say this at the end.
So come on, you know.
So, but some people will have a par meter, and if you want to be the advanced grower, you will obtain and purchase a par
everybody's
meter.
Not going to go and get a par meter.
But for those people that don't want to buy par meters, it's easy just to go 1 meter squared, 600 watt light.
There we go.
1.2 meter squared, 1000 watt light. For the people who want to take it to the advanced, they'll notice that it doesn't actually throw a square spread, it throws rectangular spread, and you can see where the light levels drop off and make your measurements more accurate and get a better result as a result of you being more accurate and precise. So thank you, Eric. Thank you. He also noticed. I know you heard that. I did it 2 weeks ago. You heard a big at my throat. Eric picked up on it as well. When we were talking about meteorology and meteorology, butchers have meteorology. The study of measurements is metrology, and we said that the study of meteorology is about meteors, and he was the first one to pick up on the fact that it's not. It's actually the study of the atmosphere. So weather people and all people who tell you it's going to rain tomorrow.
You're just there again, aren't you, Eric?
I know, he's a git. But well done, Eric. You win the grand prize of well done.
Well done.
What's he saying now? 1.2192 times 1. Frig off, Eric. He's giving me crazy measurements now. Right, comments away for 5 minutes. Leave your comments and we'll get back to them. So, what size fan and filter are you going to use? So, you know how much air you need to move because you know the size of your room and you know the amount of lights. So, what size fan and filter should you get? And that is a question that is impossible to answer on a podcast. It's impossible to make a generic, accurate
So you will do your equation that we've taught you in the past over our various podcasts, which are air and extraction and air movement.
Yeah, we'll be doing the advanced ones in a few weeks' time as well.
Where we tell you about meter cubed an hour and the equation of working all this out, which is
so. Rather than going through all the complicated measurements, which you can find online if you really want to be highly, highly accurate and highly precise, for the guys who want it simple, and even I keep it simple in this case, and you can disagree or agree with as much as you like, for every 600 watt light, I personally like to move 400 meters cubed of air an hour.
Okay.
And that's my personal, apparently that's how the Dutch do it. So they work that out. So the advanced method would be measuring the meters cubed of your room, and then you have to move that amount of air once a minute, and that figure varies beyond from book to book.
I'd move 600.
Yeah. Personally?
Yeah.
Okay, 600 meters cubed of air an hour?
Yeah.
In what size room? Oh, in the 1.2 by 1.2?
No.
You just shouted 600 at me and I lost where you
Because you weren't paying attention, was you?
No, I was talking. You interjected.
Anyway, carry on, Stephen.
You get me back, are you, for throwing you off, are you? Lovely. So yeah, for every 600 watt lights you would be using, I would say to move 400 meters cubed of air an hour. So in a 2.4 by 1.2 meter tent or space, you would tend to put 3 lights in the winter, 2 lights in the summer. I'm talking for UK weather here. And for a 2-light setup, I would be using an 8-inch fan and filter that moves or can cope with 800 meters cubed of air an hour, which is 2 times 400 for 2 600 watt lights. Make sense?
But I wouldn't use 400. I'd equate it to 600, like I was saying before.
Okay, I get you.
So I would, for 2 lights, I'd be looking to move 1200.
Okay.
Because that's 600 each.
Yeah.
So that's 1200. Okay. Where you're looking to move 800.
Yes.
Which I don't think that's sufficient.
So mine could be seen as a winter measurement and yours could be seen as a summer measurement?
Definitely.
Yeah? Okay. And actually, I'm not going to mention what...
And if that was then 3, it'd obviously be 6...
1800?
Yeah.
1800 metres cubed of air an hour in a tent in the summer using 300 watt lamps. But it's hard to move that because you're still going to bring some warm summer air in, so that's why we tend to drop off the amount of lights in the summer, isn't it?
And if you do drop off some light, you can use add some additional lighting, some CFL, LED or whatever.
See this print on the reverse that this print has got me doing has got me super confused. I was about to nearly finish the podcast now. You've planned this, haven't you? You've set that printer to print double-sided and try and get me.
Skip a page.
So my method and Thomas's method, which one would you go for? I've written in my notes here, this is what I wanted to mention, that Thomas's method, at worst would require you to spend an extra, £50 to £100, let's say.
Yeah, mine would require more money investing.
But you would also invest in a dimmer, so that when the winter does come around and you're moving too much air, you can just dim it down.
Yeah, because mine would be moving too much air in the winter, so it would have to be reduced.
And if you
I believe yours would be adequate in the winter.
Yeah. If you plan to not do anything indoors in the summer.
Yeah, but if you was to do something in the summer, I reckon you'd have to go and buy some additional kit.
Replace your whole set, your whole extraction unit. You'd have
we've
to
got
replace
two different aspects, and it's down to the customers supposed to pick.
So using my method, and you haven't thought about it, you haven't properly prepared to know that you're going to grow
which
in
we
the
also
summer.
spoke about on the previous podcast.
Yes, we did. Yeah. So you use my method because of lack of preparation, and you were using the 8-inch fan and filter. So you come in the shop and you need to move more air. So what you do, you buy a high-powered 8-inch fan and nothing else. Where's the problem?
Well, there's a couple of problems.
What's number one?
Because you've already have to come back into the shop and buy an additional piece of equipment.
And what would that piece of equipment be?
A fan.
Oh, and what exactly? That is a problem. But some people will do that and will still continue to do that.
Yeah.
So they've only changed the fan now. So they had an 8-inch 800 setup and a fan that moved 8-inch 800 meters cubed of air an hour.
Yeah.
They come in
and then
they get the high powered.
They're going to put a high powered fan on a low powered filter.
And what's the consequences?
Obviously, it's not going to clean the air adequately enough because it's going to be pulling too much air too quick through the carbon, so the carbon won't activate. Hence, smelly rooms.
And it's a big side effect and a big consequence, isn't it?
And it'll also deteriorate the filter anyway very quickly. So the filter won't be worth using anyway, even if you decide to put it on the accurate fan size, because you would have nailed it.
So if you haven't properly prepared and you need to upgrade your extraction unit, don't forget you need to change your filter along with the extraction fan as well, because they need to match. It's super important. So we now know how much air we're moving, and the next thing to think about is how long to veg your plants for. And knowing this means that you'll know what size pots to go for. Shorter veg, small pots. Longer veg, bigger pots.
Also different plants, different types of veg, different types of length. The variable is endless, to be honest with you, with plants.
So
veg cycle, there's no
given. There's no given, is there?
No.
It could be 1 week, it could be 12 weeks.
Anything.
So knowing that, but the thing is, if you're getting onto the point of the podcast here, is that all of these measurements have a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
So you start with your first measurements of the room, and that means that you can then work out how many lights you're going to need. Then you work out how many pots you're going to need and how many plants and how much air and extraction you're going to do. And when you know how many plants, you know how many pots to buy. So it's important, and you'll know then what you can fit in your room and how many plants you'll need to propagate, and it just leads to more precision, more accuracy, better planning, better preparation. And what does that lead to as a result? Thomas?
Success.
Better plant growth, isn't it? And success in the end, yeah.
Yeah, but there's no actual way of measuring those, to be honest with you. Is there really?
What, measuring success?
No, measuring vegetative growth time in a variable is the...
So the point that I was trying to make it clearer is that knowing your veg time, if you know that you only want to veg for 4 weeks, then you'll know that you can get that size pot and that you can fit a certain amount of plants in your metre squared. If you're doing a 1 week veg, you'd only need a small pot, and that means that you would need a lot more pots and you need a lot more plants.
Okay.
So it gives you an insight into how you're going to run your room.
Okay.
And you're studying viciously over my notes now.
So then we've got water, nutrients, measurement, haven't we? Water and nutrient measurement. So what's the variables of that? How many different measurements do we have of water and nutrient measurement? So
measuring your water is measuring how much water your plants will need, and knowing how many plants you'll need gives you the only thing that you can measure, because being able to tell somebody how much water that their plant will need is a very, very difficult job.
So what, we can measure water?
We can. So we'd know we need roughly, 1,000 litres of water.
10 litres?
Yeah.
1 litre? Half a litre?
but you don't know. It's a very hard thing to quantify because temperature of your room will influence how much water they drink.
Yeah.
Humidity will influence it. Air movement will influence it.
How much water do plants drink?
They drink different amounts at different stages in their life and in different environments.
How much nutrient do they eat?
And this
Do
again,
they eat it or drink it?
they will take it up. They will absorb the nutrients.
Okay. How much do they need?
Small doses at the beginning of life, peaking in week 5 of flower, or the middle of flower if you're growing longer flowering plants.
How do we measure this?
How do you measure nutrients?
How do we, yeah.
So you measure your nutrients with, you'll get a rough measurement. You have a very basic idea from grow charts. You'll know roughly you need certain mils of A and B, and then you will measure it accurately and precisely with an EC meter.
Yeah.
And you will know that your EC should be at a set point for the stage of growth, and it should be, if it's too high, you add more water. If it's too low, you add a bit more A and B nutrients. You get that syringe out again, and you'll measure an extra 1 mil of A, 1 mil of B.
So we need to measure how much water the plant takes and how much nutrients the plant takes also.
We need to keep an eye on it.
And additives.
Additives as well.
Boosters and hormones and all of that stuff.
Stimulators.
Yep. So what happens if we tend to put too much of all these things in?
We're not taking our medicine properly. If we don't take enough, it doesn't work. You'll always have the cold.
And this is why we need to be accurate and
precise.
And
the one of the good points about accuracy and precision as well is that you knew that when you put 3 mil of A and 3 mil of B in into water, and then you measured with your EC stick, it was a little bit too strong. So for next time, you just add a bit of water.
What is an EC stick?
Electrical conductivity, so measures the amount of salts between an electrode, and the more salts, the easier it is to conduct the electricity.
Yeah, but what's that for?
To see how much nutrients you got in your water.
And what is it, a stick? So basically we get this stick and we put it in the water, and it tells us how much nutrients is in the water.
Yeah, and you measure nutrients via TDS.
Would you say this is a vital tool as a grower?
I would, yes.
I would also.
If you want to be accurate and precise.
I'd say, would you, well, so okay then, would it be fair to say then you are not accurate and precise if you haven't got this tool?
Correct, I would absolutely say that.
Yeah,
I would say, actually, you've hit a good point. You can be very accurate, you can be very precise if you don't use an EC stick, because you used 3 mil of A, 3 mil of A, 3 mil of B, week in, week out. You're very precise in what you give them. Okay. But that's not accuracy, is it? So to be accurate and precise, you need to
because the accuracy there would just be on your measurement of that solution. Your accuracy isn't what the plant requires.
Exactly.
Yet
the precision is not what is potentially what the plant requires. Being accurate is not what the plant requires. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, cool, good. Right. You've also got measuring the amount of nutrients per litre.
Yeah.
Which you've covered.
Yeah. So can I talk about this, because you've done a really nice point. Can I say what you've just done?
Go on.
So I do research and try and make this as interesting as possible in my eyes.
And if you noticed, I took his notes and folded them in half and kept them.
He's just reading the titles to me.
Yeah.
It's actually that is a much better, because reading off your notes
is not good
and doesn't feel natural, does it?
No.
But I was trying to get all the information across, and Thomas has took all my information off me, but I still know, because I've still researched it, and it comes across a lot more naturally.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Thomas.
So your point was, anyway, what was you going to say to me?
Just nice one.
That was it.
It flowed a lot more. Okay. It flowed a lot better. What's the next point? Grill me. Knowing how. See, look, this double-sided shit.
You've got all these notes, yeah. You can't bloody manage to put 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 on the fucking paper. It's not very accurate,
but just not very precise.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Sorry.
I know what we're up to. So we talked about how long you're gonna veg for. Next, how long you're gonna
water, nutrients.
Fold that one over.
Yeah.
Yeah, using an EC meter. I'm also using a pH meter as well.
Yeah, pH.
Excuse me.
So, yeah, here's one for you. pH. Is it fair to say if you don't use pH, you can't be accurate and precise also?
Ooh, yeah. If you don't use a pH meter, you cannot be accurate or precise. Because in this instance, pH is going to fluctuate. EC does, but on a small scale. So pH is going to fluctuate quite heavily, especially in the veg cycle. So if you add your A and your B and your nutrients, blah, 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 how do you know what your pH is? It could be 5.5, it could be 6, it could be 6.5. So you're not being very accurate. And then you're not being very precise because you're not hitting a certain pH range time in, time out, week in, week out. So you are neither accurate nor precise when you use a pH, if you don't use a pH meter. Which one's more important, EC or pH?
To me,
yeah.
Some people are going to go, I can't say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm going to say EC, even though we know that the gateway for taking up nutrients is pH.
Yeah. The reason I think you say this is because certain base nutrients will have acidic compounds within them. And when you use them, it naturally brings the pH down to a
so
rough
I'll use a basic
figure.
buffer. Yeah, so
rough figure
right. So I
right.
know what's going on with my pH.
Roughly.
I'm not saying I'll fuck pH. I actually know what's going on, and
you've got a rough idea.
Yeah, and I've got a bit of an idea and a manipulation on it anyway.
But if you don't measure EC, you're just adding a mil of a certain millage of A, a certain millage of B, just hoping that the EC is in the correct amount. And if it's too hot and the plant just decides it wants more water, you could be burning your plants. And to be honest with you, burning your plants or under-fertilising your plants is going to be a little bit more serious than...
And also, if you had the choice not to use... saying that, I was going to say, imagine using no fertiliser, no nutrients, or... I don't know, I was going to say either have a high pH or a low pH, but I don't know, because a high pH.
Understand what you're saying, no.
Do you know what I mean?
What would you rather? Would you rather be out of your pH range slightly,
or have
would
no
you rather
nutrients?
Under-fertilise completely or over-fertilise and burn them?
Yeah, that's what sort of angle I look at it a little bit, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd say pH is not going to suddenly, you're not going to suddenly stop absorbing nutrients just because you're hitting 6.4, 6.5. But if you're under-fertilised and you've got deficiencies, and if you do that in flowering, you're going to be in for a world of pain.
Right, I've got your next one. I folded your piece of paper in half because environmental measurements.
Yeah, so we've talked about the grow room size and everything that it requires to know that.
Yeah.
You got your grow room set up and you've done it very well because you took measurements and everything's just slotted into place so nicely. Yeah. Now I'm taking measurements in the grow room and we're taking measurements of the environment.
How are you going to do that? So
what's the first thing on the agenda?
Don't know, you tell me.
I've written down.
Go on, you tell me then. You wrote them down.
Thermometer, hygrometer.
Yeah.
Knowing the temperature and humidity of your room is probably the most essential environmental measurements you're going to take.
You see that piece of equipment that we keep harping on about, this little high grow thermo thing?
One of the cheapest bits of equipment that you buy.
What, tenner?
Yeah.
Between £7 and £10, whatever.
Yeah.
How vital would, on a list in your grow room essentials, how vital would you put that?
So for taking measurements after you've bought obviously all your equipment, I'll even let it go out of that category. I'll even say, as a grow room piece of equipment, like a light, or a fan and a filter, or a timer, or a pot, or a soil, or a fly, or anything. How vital would you put a thermo hygrometer on that? Easily in the top 10.
Definitely in the top 10.
Yeah, and obviously, if you've got a thermometer, hygrometer, but you haven't got a plant, then you'd rather have a plant, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
that's the most vital piece.
Yeah, but
of
we were saying grow room equipment.
But as far as grow room measurements go, it's the most important piece of kit.
Top dog. I'm just trying to emphasise that if you haven't got one of these things,
there's no point even getting any of the other pieces of equipment that I'm about to mention.
No,
because you need to know your temperature, you need to know your humidity.
Yeah.
Every other measurement ends up being as a consequence of what your temperature and humidity are.
As you get more and more accurate and precise, you'll then use various temperature and humidity readings throughout the room and take different other types of readings, and you'll collate these together, and you know, you'll come up with these equations that we keep going on about all the time on all of the podcasts.
Yeah. So one of the comments there that's come through says you can tend to look at the plants with EC to get a rough idea. So PT is being a plant whisperer.
Plant whisperer.
And looking at the plants to see if they're being over-fertilised or under-fertilised. Yeah. Very good idea.
Yeah.
pH, however, is a bit trickier, and he said, in my opinion. And again, we're not, this is just our opinion. We're just saying, in our opinion, EC's more important to get out of the whole grow, whether it's 12, 16, 20 weeks. EC would take precedence.
Also, we have nice, lovely grown water.
It's true. We have in the Liverpool in the UK, we have soft water. It comes out the taps at 0.2 EC. I'm very blessed to have that water.
Yeah.
We don't. I don't. How many reverse osmosis machines have we sold in 5 years?
None.
Zero.
Zero.
So it gives you an idea of how good our water is. And maybe for that reason, we like to measure EC. And I know what people are going to say, but your water's low on EC. It means you've got a great target. You should be measuring pH. But it's just our pH can be pretty stable as well.
Yeah.
And also depends on your method of growing. See, in DWC, as a
true,
as a
I
person,
didn't mention that.
In soil, pH is how to put this very easily. pH is not so important in soil. EC is important. EC is always important. In cocoa, pH is important and EC is important. In DWC, the fluctuations in pH can be huge. So I'd say in DWC, pH would take precedent, wouldn't it? Because it's vital that you've got to get it in the right range. There's no buffering capacity in DWC
let's be honest,
systems.
We don't need to have to pick between these because we're not stuck on some remote desert island with the only choice. You're right, you can only take with you an EC meter or a pH pen. You just do both of them.
Yeah.
And just life's perfect.
And be accurate and be precise.
Accurate
the
and
whole
precise.
Point of the podcast.
Measure it all.
And what's next? Where have I put
map.
Next?
Map. Be map.
Oh, lad, high five on...
Oh, map. You've got to be map.
Map, brother. Measurements, accuracy and precision. Map.
Yeah. M-A-P.
I like that.
Not BAP. Map.
For anyone who's watching, look how made up he is with that one now. He's good. That was a good shout. That's it, to be fair. Well, come on then. Tell me what's next, since you've took me notes off me.
Right. So, few problems if you don't measure your temperature and humidity.
Quite a few problems potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why you need to measure it. You've gone on about how long to flower for, and there's no measurement on that. It's apart from
knowing the EC and pH,
and also knowing the gene of your species or your species of plant what you're growing.
Yeah,
that's got to be accurate.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that.
Okay.
Yeah. You've also got pest and disease and plant maturity, yeah.
Okay.
Which I reckon was good because we've got thermohygrometer, and if you don't measure that, you see definitely going to have some pest and disease.
Yeah, because the pests tend to love the low humidity. I don't know why that voice started to come out of me. Now he's throwing me notes away. You know, you break my heart every time you do this.
What's that? Is that the first page?
That was like the first page. That's the one you should have thrown away, because that's the one that you no longer need.
Is this?
That's the end. Pick up. Make sure that there's nothing else on that other piece of paper.
There's nothing on there.
No, look.
Right,
come on.
look. You've got decibel meters on here.
You've
now that's a
loads.
form of measurement. For
sound.
Sound. And why would we want to measure sound?
No, I was just saying sound.
No, because the point of this podcast is measurements, accuracy and precision.
I thought you were
just
saying
And I found something else that relates to a form of measurement, and it is decibel. Okay?
Yeah.
Why on earth would we need to know about decibels? Because we come across this the other day, didn't we?
We
In
did.
The shop.
We did.
Remember?
We did.
Yeah.
Because we need to know how loud we're being. If we're being too loud in an indoor grow room, then our next door neighbour, who just likes to read and take it easy and chill, is going to get pissed
you have
off.
To have consideration for other people.
You do.
Yeah. So, what's a decibel meter?
So a decibel meter is going to be this handheld thing with a funky little microphone looking thing on the end, and you're going to hold it in your room, And the reason that you might want to do this, you're going to hold this in your room. This is
Or
advanced measurements.
Are you going to look on the box of your fan, and it will tell you exactly how many decibels your fan is outputting?
That's really good.
You didn't know that, did you?
I did know that.
Did you?
I did.
Okay.
But I'm saying that's really good, a little bit sarcastically.
Okay.
Because...
Did you know the decibel reading that the guy asked for the other day?
Yeah, and you said it was 20.
21.
21. And you walked off like a smart ass.
Yeah.
Just walked in the shop, walked behind the counter. How many decibel readings is this, please? He walks behind and goes, 21.
Yeah.
And then just saunts up the stairs.
Yeah, just walked past.
But the reason it's important to have is a meter. But I think you have skipped a couple there. There's definitely a few. I'm going to pick that piece of paper up, but you've skipped a decibel. There's loads. If you then want to try out some acoustic ducting or a silenced fan, how do you know that silenced fan or acoustic ducting is making your room quieter? Because I guarantee you, unless you've got bat ears, that you're not going to hear the differences.
Well, just for your information, all of the air and extraction equipment that you can purchase from our store can be provided with a full decibel rating. And
it can.
It's just if you ask us.
But what if the manufacturer's not being very truthful, or what if the decibel reading was done at a different area?
True.
So you've just been using a standard RVK all of your life, and you think I'm going to spend the extra money on this Isamax or other that just came out. That no brand affiliation there. Isamax is because they are acoustic fans.
Nah, big shout out to Isamax.
Yeah, it's the ones that we stocked. That's why I just blurted it out.
I hope they're listening though, because we had a little drama with your new fan you sent us the other day.
Oh, you're gonna go well and say it.
So we got a new fan, didn't we? Off a CANNA, which we
for the lab.
I love, for the lab. They sent us free of charge. It's a brand new piece of equipment, isn't it? That they stock.
Yes, it is.
It's brand new in the range, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a badass piece of a kit. But I think we got one of the first ones, didn't we? Did we? I think, did they actually send us the first one?
Or they're just having a laugh with us and
winding us up, pulling my leg.
Yeah.
But it never come on.
Barry even changed the fuses 15 times.
So can I be like that right now? Please, no, Thomas, don't say this. I'm sorry, it's the truth. It didn't come on. But
what was the aftercare like?
Amazing. And we have a new one.
We do. You know what? I'm not drinking mango Rubicon again. It gives me awful hiccups.
Yeah. And just like that. And we have a new one.
You have a new one already? I haven't even sent the old one back yet.
No.
Top-notch service from Cam.
As usual.
This shit happens. And it also gives me a top tip.
What I'm going to say is the reason why I've said this is because it's the first time anything's ever broken off yous. Ha. Yeah. So yous are not like the immortal god. One thing broke. Because your record with us of anything breaking is...
Failure rate is very, very low.
Yeah,
it just so happens the one just happened to be for us.
Yeah.
You got away with it a little bit.
So you've got to laugh at it because it's funny and it's life. But thank you very much. Aftercare is amazing. CANNA are amazing. So a big shout out to you. You don't pay me to say that. I just said it because I mean it.
Yeah,
simple.
And you jumped in. You interjected. That's my word of the day. Interjected on my top tip. So what me and Barry did wrong, and it was our fault a little bit as well, is we should have tested that fan before we beautifully levelled it, taped it, Jubilee clipped it, fast clamped it, put on a nice 8-inch 90-degree bend, put the ducting on, sealed it all up.
See, that's something else as well.
And then we turned it on.
You just said you put on a nice 90-degree bend, and I've been meaning to talk to you about that because we done a podcast, and you know very well how much airflow does a 90-degree bend reduce by? And we have one in our amazing state-of-the-art lab. And I've walked in and just went, you've got to be shitting me.
Well, do you know what I did, Thomas? I considered both options. Running the ducting straight out, which would have removed a lot of the space. It would have been good. Would have been ideal.
Would have been accurate.
Perfect.
And precise.
Would have been precise, yeah.
Accurate and precise.
Yeah. But it would have took a lot of space out of the grow room. So myself and Barry made the decision that we would incorporate a 90-degree bend. But how much airflow does it reduce, I hear you say? 20%. So what did we do? What? We went and bought the high-powered 8-inch fan because we worked out how much air we needed to move, and it was around 1,200 metres cubed of air an hour.
Well, we got
the higher power one.
I've got different ideas on this so far, and it's going to be interesting because this is grow room stuff, and this is how it gets down. And I personally feel there's going to be some adjustments.
I personally feel that Barry might tell you where to go.
Well, we'll see. When we get this grow room lit up and we start doing our tests and all that, it's going to be very interesting because I reckon we're going to be moving a fair bit of heat, so I reckon things are going to need to be changed.
I know what's going to happen now.
I reckon you're going to have to put an additional kit.
You're going to take a picture.
I'm going to put it on podcast.
And then you're going to show the 90-degree bend, and then you're going to say, oh, well, they said it'd be fine, I'll just leave them to it.
Well,
and then 6 months later, when it gets too hot, you're going to take another picture
so,
after we've straightened the duct
you know, before you see the video,
ass.
and you see the 90-degree bend, here's my evidence. Podcast 108, I've told you, I've seen it, and I'm not having none of it.
Well, I upped the power.
So ease up the power. So we've made, let's see, innit?
So I've added, I only needed to move 1,100.
Yeah.
So 20%.
So ease up
of
the
1,100.
It cost us more dough
It's
anyway
around
because
240.
he's done the wrong measurement, so it's costing us already.
I didn't do any wrong measurements. I wanted to utilise the most amount of space.
No matter what way, but no matter what way you look at it, you're still hindering ourselves, aren't we? Because now we've got an even better fan, but we've still got a 90-degree bend. Imagine we never had the 90-degree bend.
I'd be moving too much, yeah.
We could dim it down with an SMS controller, couldn't we?
Well, either way, whatever happens, it's not perfection, is it?
Well, we're going to find out.
Because we're going to lose some growth space if we keep it straight.
Yeah,
and there's the other thing. We have to. That's why it's not straight. I'm thinking now, where does straight ducting go into? In our building.
I don't know.
Right into next door.
No, that's the other way. Stay
The
tuned on YouTube and I'll show you what I mean.
We could. I've just had a brainwave. We could, in the winter, throw all of our lights on, duck straight into their unit and charge them for the extra heat that we're providing.
That could be alright.
I'm 50% in that, yeah.
Anyway, he's got a 90-degree bend on this air extraction. I'm not happy about it, so
it looks like it's going to get changed then.
Nah, I'm going to let you roll with it. But you fitted your grow room out.
Science says it's going to work.
Scientific man.
Science says it's going to work.
Well, we'll see.
Needed to move 1,100 metres cubed of air an hour. Put a 90-degree bend in. Man, that takes off 20%. So I've increased it by 20%. Job
I just
done.
don't reckon it's very accurate.
I've got a 1,500. What's 20% of 1,500? Is
1,200
metres cubed of air an hour.
Watch when it's the summer. You need that extra 20%. We'll see soon. Anyway, come on.
So the other 2 meters that you took off me were a CO2 meter. If you are inputting CO2 into your room, how do you know how much is left in the bag? If you're using the natural CO2 sources like the Exhale CO2 bag, how much do you know that it's actually given to your room? You've got no idea really, have you? Just what they're saying.
No.
So if you can invest in a CO2 meter, it's especially important if you're using the big canisters of CO2 because if you use too much CO2, your plants will die and then you will not wake up the next day.
And if you're in there, you'll die as well.
And that's a serious consequence, not waking up the next day. There's another one here, an anemometer. And that measures how much air.
How many annies are in the room?
Yeah.
Anemometer. No. Anyway. Oh well.
That was worse than mine. But if you want to work out, like me and Thomas were just talking about, the 90-degree bend and the fact that it removes 20% of the power, then you can get yourself an anemometer and it'll tell you how much air you are moving. So useful piece of kit.
You'd end up buying all this stuff, you'd end up looking like Steve's
beard.
Yeah.
The beard inch. So some dissolved meters for measurements and accuracy and precision. Dissolved oxygen meter. I liked it when I was in DWC because not for the simple grower, as Thomas is striping his neck with his hand.
Load of rubbish.
Well, it is for the simple grower, But for us advanced people, we like all these meters and gadgets.
He says that after putting a 90-degree bend on an extraction fan, is he messing?
You're going to keep this up forever?
Oh, listen.
God help me if I have a hot summer.
You'll be looking to hang that t-shirt up soon. Let me tell you.
Well, I like dissolved oxygen meters. Lets me know if
I've
water temperatures get too hot.
I've heard there's jobs in the job centre in them. What are them undergrow shops called? Them crap ones.
We'll see.
Them sales ones. Sales executive ones.
It all hinges on a 90-degree bend.
Yeah.
So dissolved oxygen meters, I like them. Thomas doesn't. They are not a necessarily at all piece of kit, but if you want to be super accurate and super precise, good piece of kit to buy. Something that I will be buying in the next few days is a refractometer. Measures the bricks and sugar contents of the plants.
Oh yeah, because we are doing some testing with all of this stuff though, aren't we?
We are. The more bricks, the more sugar, the healthier the plant and less likely to succumb to pest and disease.
This isn't something that our growers really need.
A refractometer?
Yeah.
Listen, some people do use them. So, yeah, definitely. Or, see, we're going to be, like Thomas says, we're going to be doing some testing, and I hypothesise that the higher the bricks, the less likely...
You know when you say you're buying this?
No, what I meant is you're buying this.
I thought that was coming.
Yeah,
I've just got right onto that then, when I got, how much is this thing going to cost?
This refractometer is only cheap, to be honest.
on the end normally ends up with a couple of O's on the end as well.
It's only cheap, a refractometer. You're looking at £25 off eBay or Amazon.
Yeah, that's all right. Oh, no, that's
it's the microscope you want to be worried about.
Yeah. What was that last thing you nearly had us buying? That box. We had to send it back. We ended up on a test.
I'll get that many. I can't remember.
Oh my God.
I got a dissolved oxygen meter for £500.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they left it with me for a year to test. They didn't mean to leave it for a year. They said, "Oh yeah, we'll leave that with you for a few days." Look how
excited he is, and all he done with test, he loves it.
Yeah, because they only meant to leave it for 2 days, and he ended up giving me it for a year. Yeah. Just because they forget to chase it off.
I think it was like absolutely annihilated by the time he got it back.
Yeah, it was great. Great. I will actually be buying one for the lab. And when I say me, I mean you.
Yeah.
And then the last piece of advanced kit that I've mentioned is a palm meter. So, again, not necessary whatsoever, but if you want to measure the difference and output that your 1000-watt double-ended is giving you over another 1000-watt double-ended, it's an important piece of kit. And also, like we said at the beginning, if you want to be super accurate and super precise, you can measure how much light losses you're losing at the sides.
Now, see your list. I like your list.
My list is in order of importance and availability.
Is it now?
It is. So, criticise away.
Okay, so we have got your measurement kit list in order of importance.
And / availability. Meaning that something that's quite important but is very, very expensive has moved down the list. Something that's moderately important but really cheap, you may as well get it, is moved up the list a little bit. Okay?
So, we've got...
Let's go.
Tape measure, thermometer, hygrometer.
Yeah.
A selection of pipettes, syringes and measuring jugs.
Yeah.
An EC meter.
Ooh, so I was on... See? I'm on your same page. I regard EC to be better than pH in most circumstances.
A pH meter that includes water temperature.
Yeah.
Isn't that a water thermometer?
No, you can get them combined in the pH meters.
You're just trying to skank loads in under one title there, aren't you? Microscope of... You're taking a piss. So we've got... Yeah. You're hilarious. Microscope with UV light attachment. Is there any specific?
You want me to read them out with fucking specifics.
Light meter, CO2 meter, refractometer, anemometer. Anemometer. No, that does not say anemometer. Does that say anemometer?
So Makey's in the sound.
No, I can't hear what Makey's saying anyway. He says it doesn't say
anemometer.
Oh yeah, it does, because there's the on. I'll let you know.
Anemometer.
Boom.
And then you missed off the last one.
Decibel meter.
Yeah. What do you think of the importance? Would you rearrange it at all?
Yeah, because you've missed some things out.
What have I missed out? This was late at night the other week.
Measuring bucket.
Measuring bucket. Okay.
Measuring jug.
No, there's measurement jugs there. You even said it. Got ya.
Okay, where's measuring bucket then?
Missed us.
Where is... I'm going to home in on this. Where is your water butt?
I'm going to put that under measuring bucket.
No, you haven't even got measuring buckets on there.
I know, but that's the one I missed off. I'm not having two missed off, so that all comes under measurement bucket. This isn't a critical appraisal of my work here. Is it turned into one? Looking and thinking hard, trying to catch me out on something. Oh! What have I missed, Thomas? Ooh. He's thinking hard. Look, can you hear them cogs whirring?
Clock. How are you going to measure time?
Oh, fuck off.
How are you going to measure one of your ones? Time? Yeah.
Because everybody's got a phone. Have you got a phone on you right now?
But where is it?
Where's your phone?
Where's it on the what? Is it on here?
No, but everyone's got a phone.
Everybody hasn't.
Everybody has.
No,
they haven't. They have. And I can say everybody has. And I bet you if we did a vote right now...
And not everybody's got their phone
with
the right time on them.
No, surely not.
But they haven't got it. I haven't got it on the list anyway. No, that's a very good list. I like the list. It is a good list.
Do you want to do it one more time, very quickly? Measurements kit in order of importance.
Yes.
What you should have.
Tape measure, thermometer, hygrometer, a selection of pipettes, syringes, and measuring jugs. What would you
measuring
use?
Buckets.
Yeah, measuring buckets. What would you use the pipettes for?
So if you're using something super, super concentrated, like flour-based, quarter of a mil per litre, you need a pipette because that's what will measure very, very small dosages.
EC meter, pH meter, that includes water temperature. Why would you want to measure the water temperature?
DWC, it's important that your water stays around 18 degrees Celsius. If it goes too cold, then the plants can't absorb nutrients, and if it goes too hot, above 22, the oxygen levels drop dramatically. Okay,
and then this next half of the list, is the more in-depth things.
Yes.
Right?
Not essentials.
The things that we've just mentioned, tape measure, thermometer, hygrometer, pipettes, syringes, measuring jugs, measuring buckets, EC meter and pH meter are essentials, I believe.
Okay.
The next are your personal wish list for fucking Christmas. Microscope with UV light attachment.
Why do I want a UV light attachment? Because what UV does is when you pests shit on your leaves, it highlights them in UV, and if you've got any disease, they pop up. Like powdery mildew will pop out on your plant if you shine a UV light on it.
Okay.
So the UV light will help you get up and close personal with your pest problem.
Light meter, CO2 meter, refractometer, anemometer.
Nice.
And decibel meter.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I want to pick up just on one piece of kit there, the light meter. Do not buy a lux meter, a lumens meter, or any other piece of measuring kit that measures how intense the light is according to the human eye. So just because we perceive something as bright does not mean that it is the right light for the plant. You need a PAR meter, PAR, photosynthetic active radiation meter, and that will give you a much more accurate depiction of what is going on, because that PAR meter measures how much light between, off the top of my head, 318 nanometers and 790 nanometers, and that is the usable wavelengths of light for photosynthesis. Oh, that felt good. Did you see? Look, I didn't get interrupted once on that science quest of knowledge.
That was a long one, though.
Yeah.
So, there we have it.
Measurements, accuracy, and precision.
Yeah.
The more accurate, more accurate and precise you are, in my opinion, the better grower you will be.
If there's anybody who's got any additional things that we could add to our measurement list, please let us know what you think might be important.
Mm-hmm. So Pete's got the hard water down here, he says. so he probably struggles a bit more with EC and pH. Yeah, and Adam said, do you find in different areas the water affects the plant, even the soft water, orchid don't work? Yeah, different areas will have different amounts of calcium and magnesium in them.
Definitely, 1,000,000%.
Low amounts of calcium and magnesium, soft water.
Yeah.
High amounts, hard water. The harder the water, the harder it is to grow plants well, because you have to use a specific hard water nutrient with lower levels of calcium and
You
magnesium.
can home in though on these things and rectify it yourself though.
And you have to use so much pH up and down when you're in hard water areas, because the calcium buffers the pH. So that's another reason why you could really do in a reverse osmosis machine if you're hard water. And Adam also said plain rainwater he finds the best. Yeah, natural. He's a very natural organic grower, isn't he? So that's it. Measurements, accuracy, precision. Thank you for enduring my science, Thomas.
That was a tough one.
And I only dabbled.
Yeah, well, it's my podcast next week.
I'm made up. 109. The week before.
Oh,
110.
Yeah.
If
it's gonna be mad.
If you are a grow shop, if you're a grow shop that's still listening at the end of this podcast, you're more than welcome to get in touch and come along for podcast 110.
Yeah.
We've got quite a few shops already, so we're going to have to think about space. I don't think everyone's going to fit in this box.
Nah, we're going to have to do the podcast will be getting done in a room. We're going to have to limit the shops to maybe +2.
Yeah.
Because then, fucking hell.
And then +2 will not be on the couches, but will be like around the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
We've only got so much space for people to sit.
It's going to be mad. We've got a few people coming up. It's going to be good though. It's going to be fun. It's right. I'm excited. It's right. For all the shops that are coming, I take my hat off to every single one of you. Let me tell you, for coming down and coming on the podcast is right, the boys. And that's what it's about. It's about us all having a nice big chat together. Instead of like, grow shop, No, it is right. You know, let's get along and, you know, let's sit down and talk about these products and
problems.
And issues with the industry and
how to make it better.
How do you have to get on the back of the van and sort your deliveries out, or do your delivery drivers not pull off the pallets for outside the shop? That's the dramas we've been going through lately. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
definitely some other grow shops.
Yeah, what's been going on with your supply and distribution from your suppliers to you boys? I'm looking forward to hearing everything what you've got to say about your thoughts on the industry, about what's going on.
And these people aren't our friends. What I mean is, we haven't picked them. The ones that listen to the show and would like to come on, they've come on.
Don't get me wrong.
Some of them will have different opinions.
Some of them are my pals though. We've got
Slim and
we've got Jay from Hydro to Grow. Some of the people I haven't met before, but just listen to the show, and I'm you know, what else can I say? Thank you. It's right, and major respect for you. You'll get the VIP treatment when you all come, and it's going to be good. It's going to be nice. It's going to be fucking different. And I'm excited about it. Really, really, I'm excited.
When Thomas says VIP treatment, what he means is he's going to put cordial in your bottles of water, in your tap water.
Yeah.
So that's what VIP treatment is.
Some bags of Monster Munch.
Orange juice.
I'll have the Monster Munch.
We got the Monster Munch.
Yeah.
It was a dangerous place.
So, that's it, yeah.
Good. Measurement, accuracy and precision. Get more of it. And rubbing my fingers in the money sense. Get more of it.
Yeah. Go on.
See you in a bit. Bye.
Roll up into the rave. One shot, two shot.